Mile Rundown. We are at episode 57. The Flames playing some really good hockey as of late here. Embarrassed the Vegas Golden Knights on the weekend. And so let's sit down and talk about that and more. I am, of course, your host, Johnny Soap, and alongside me, as always, from FlamesNation.ca, it is Robert Munich. Robert, how are we today?
Doing great. Don Maloney saved the season. The Rebiggle has saved the season. 10-4-1 since the Don Maloney comments. It's unbelievable. I did
more
not
Cadres.
see this coming. Need more Cadres, not less. Fantasyland, getting a first overall pick. That's Fantasyland, baby.
It is Fantasyland. Watching Celebrini destroy the Flames in one game was Fantasyland for sure.
I wonder,
sure.
do you think the guys in the dressing room saw the Don Maloney comments and the Don Maloney interview? And is there any world where that potentially could have galvanized them to get their shit together? Or do you think they're just who cares what this guy says? We're just going to do what we do.
I think they were already galvanizing themselves. I think they saw the Maloney stuff and they kind of, okay, yeah, that's what the boss is going to say, right? Think of it in your own job. The boss is going to say a bunch of stuff about the company. Do you really buy into what he says, or just kind of go about your day, right, and do your job because you have professional pride in yourself? So maybe they did latch on to his comments a little bit to be like, yeah, we know what we are, or maybe this just, it was just the boss talking about the company again.
Was there a method to the madness of Don Maloney? Did Don go out there with the intention of being I got the players' backs here. I'm going to support them. I'm gonna take some backlash here, but I'm doing this for my players. Or do you think this is just how he felt and he just said what he said? And you know what, he doesn't have the greatest media training, right? So did he just say those comments just because that's what he truly believed? I really wonder if there was a little bit of strategy there for him. And that might be giving him too much credit. I don't know.
I was going to say, this might come across as harsh, but I don't know if he's smart enough to do that. But I wonder if the organization as a whole was smart enough to maybe use that press conference as a way to take the heat off the team, divert the attention of the fans and divert the attention of the media and what the Flames has had, how they started the season, kind of divert the pressure a little bit away from the players and kind of take the heat to Don Maloney rather than the players.
Dude, that's actually a really, really interesting point. And I don't think I've heard anybody in this market mention that yet.
We're so smart, Robert.
You are, dude. You're a very smart guy. This guy knows hockey. John East Hope knows hockey. This is why you listen to the Red Mile Rundown. No, but seriously, it's a great point because the season on the ice for the players was a train wreck.
Mm-hmm.
It was things were going awful. Just the negative energy around the team, the losing, everything is going wrong. Maybe there was a little bit of strategy there where Don Maloney, he took some of the pressure off the group and put it on himself. Once again, we might be giving way too much credit for this guy, but it's kind of an interesting conspiracy theory to bring up.
Yeah, I don't want to be harsh to Don, but he might not be smart enough to do that. But I think the organization as a whole might be able to be that smart. We've seen it before where a general manager will come out in the media or a coach will come out and he'll take a loss upon him rather than the players, try to take the pressure off of the players. So it's not unprecedented in sports to see your front office or a coach type of person go out there and try to take the heat off, the leadership kind of person away from their players, try to lessen the pressure. So, you got me going down that path there, Robert, and got my brain thinking. So maybe they did do it. Maybe it was a conscious effort and Don Maloney was just their puppet.
Maybe we owe Don Maloney an apology.
Nope.
Right?
Nope.
Yeah. Every Flames fan is just turned off the podcast after hearing that.
Yeah. We now have 0 listens. Thanks, Robert. It's not. See, I gotta word it. Even if that was his thinking and his way of approaching the situation, how he said things and his approach in that interview, I still can't give him any credit for that because that was very tone deaf. And the way that he came across a bit brash and about, hey, no, this is the way. We need the more Cadres line, drove people crazy. So if that was his intent, was to take the heat off and take the heat onto himself, give him that credit, but I'm not going to give him credit for the message because it really felt like I still stick by it. That message was very tone deaf at the time.
Yeah, it 100% was. And I'm just kind of having some fun. I'm joking around here a little bit, but overall, the comments were still a disaster. And I don't think the players took those comments and said, holy shit, boys, let's come together and let's prove everybody wrong and let's make Don look smart. I don't think they were doing that, to be totally honest. So yeah,
They weren't in the locker room like after a big Champions League win where you see the trophy come into the room and all the players are like, what?
yeah,
Done.
yeah.
No, I don't think that was happening.
They
But
got Don on their shoulders. Everyone's chanting
Don,
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 Don, Don.
yeah. Man, we were ridiculous. Okay, let's bring the listeners back in, Robert. If you turned off the podcast, sorry about that. If you're still with us, Flames are 10-4-1 in their last 15 games. They're playing some really good hockey. They made fools of the Vegas Golden Knights on the weekend, looking very good in doing so. Robert, what's led to this success? What do you make of the Flames' latest run here? 'Cause 10 wins from 15 games, you can live with that if you're trying to be a playoff team.
Yeah, I mean, I'll go over like a couple of the reasons why I think this is happening, and then I'll throw to you. But from a player performance standpoint, Nazem Kadri and Rasmus Andersson have been incredible over this 15 game run here. You take a look at Nazem Kadri, 19 points in his last 15 games. Rasmus Andersson, 16 points in his last 15 games. Those two guys are really driving the bus for this team right now on a nightly basis. And, Anderson's doing it in every facet of the game. Like, it's wild. Leads the Flames in shorthanded time. Quarterbacks the first power play unit. Takes on the toughest matchups at 5-on-5. Like, this guy has been an animal this year.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he's been a major reason why there's been a huge turnaround here for this group. And then, you take a look, Michael Backlund, Joel Farabee, Jonathan Huberdeau, Matt Coronado all have at least 10 points. Blake Coleman, Morgan Frost have 9 over that period. So there's a lot of guys producing way more than they were at the beginning of the season, and I think that's had a huge impact on this team. And then one other thing I'll just shout out quickly is just the penalty kill. The penalty kill has gone from being a detriment, something that was actually hurting the Flames more than it was helping it. A big reason why they were losing so many games in the month of October, and they've completely turned it around. They're third in the NHL in penalty kill since November 19th, since the Maloney comments. So good on them. Good for Trent Cull. That guy seems awesome. Yeah. So you love to see a guy like him have success. And, the Flames, they win a lot of close hockey games. And a big reason for that is that they don't give up many, if any, goals on the power play. So, or on the penalty kill, pardon me. So those are two big reasons that I'm seeing why the turnaround here.
Yeah, it's their dogs have been their dogs. Like the guys that you want to lead this team offensively have led this team offensively. You mentioned Andersson, and Kadri's been there. Michael Backlund's third on the team in scoring. Blake Coleman second on the team in goals. Coronado's using his shot a lot more. He's scoring goals. You're getting contributions from your depth guys in Farabee and Zari scoring. Even Sharon Govich has been pretty good over the last few week games here. And it's nice to see that you're getting the full effort, right? When everyone's pulling the wagon, it makes the job a lot easier on everybody else. I think we'll get to it later in the podcast as well. You've even had your younger players on the back end be productive players. Kuznetsov scores on the weekend. I think that, you have guys like that producing, it really lessens the load on the other guys. So really a good team effort. And I think that's one of the biggest things is when you have a team that finally plays like a team and pushes and pulls the wagon in the same direction every single line and sets the next lineup for success, you're going to find yourself in a lot more successful things, and things are going to become easier for you. So I think the game's gotten easier for Calgary to play. They play a hard style, and it can't be easy to play every single night. And so when it looks bad, it looks really bad. See the game in San Jose. But when they pull the wagon, they play their game. Get games like you saw against Vegas on the weekend where they look really good, play with some pace, move that puck along. And you mentioned the penalty kill there. It's fantastic, right? Like it's vaulted itself up the rankings in the National Hockey League, and it's been a big a proponent for this team moving forward. Now, if they can get the power play to join the penalty kill, then we're really rocking here. So Flames really looking really good lately. And one guy that's really led this team, and he's not far off leading the team in points either, is Rasmus Andersson. This guy is playing, and I'm going to use the trophy name. He's playing at a Norris level of defense right now for the Flames, and you got to love it. Whether you're on team sign him to a contract or team trade Rasmus Andersson, you got to be pretty happy with what you're seeing out of number 4, and that's exactly what he needed to say that, hey, I am worth that big contract. What have you made of Rasmus Andersson's game the last few weeks here?
Yeah, he's been incredible. And I got an article coming out at flamesnation.ca on Tuesday just talking a little bit about Rasmus Andersson, and the thing I'm most impressed with is heading into the season, I did not know what to expect from him. He had the brutal year last year. He had the 90%, comments, 10% of the fans who want to rebuild aren't real fans. I felt like there was a really big disconnect between him and the fan base at the end of last year. So between that and being a pending free agent and being in the middle of trade rumors all summer, he had every excuse to come in here and not have a great year because of everything that's going on off the ice for him. And he's just done the complete opposite. He's come in, he's been a really good leader, a really good person, playing the best hockey of his career for an extended period of time. I mean, his excellent play pretty much dates back to like the beginning of November. Like I would argue, like right when the calendar flipped from October to November, he's flipped the switch and has been incredible. Yeah. And yeah, I agree. Like he's probably been playing at a top 10 defenseman level in the entire National Hockey League over the last 6-7 weeks here. So yeah, all the admiration and respect goes out to Rasmus Andersson for, being a really good player this year, being a good teammate, and not being a distraction for this group. Because he could have easily done that. So yeah, I got nothing but respect for the way Rasmus has gone about his business this year for sure.
Man, he took a lot of heat last year, like a lot of heat from everyone, including us here on the podcast. We both took runs at him last year. This guy's blocked out the noise, though. And I think that's what's been the most impressive part of his game this year is just whatever noise is out there, he's blocked it out. He had an excellent interview on After Hours on Hockey Night in Canada. If you didn't see it, I encourage you to go watch because he was really, really good. And then he said just as much to Scott Oak and to Eric Francis, just blocking out the noise. Whatever out there is what's out there. He just focused on being the best defenseman for the Flames that he can be, and he's really shown that this year. I think he's been a tremendous leader. I think he's been a tremendous defenseman and very reliable. And if you're Kevin Ball, I don't think you can ask for a better defensive partner right now to play with because he's made the game pretty easy for number 7 as well. Anderson's the kind of guy that is relied on in all situations for the Flames. He's a big part of the penalty kill as well, Robert. You mentioned that in your answer as well, what's been going good for the Flames and why they've been successful. Why has the penalty kill turned around? What do you make of the penalty kill and why it's turned itself around? Because when you look at it, they're not doing a ton different. They're just being a little bit more aggressive at times, and it's just whatever Trent Cull's been saying to these guys, it's popped off and it's working.
I think the best explanation I could give is just they did make a bunch of changes to the penalty kill in the offseason, and it does take time to implement those. So my guess is what happened was, the Flames players, like they needed a month to get used to playing this new diamond formation penalty kill. And it just took them a little bit of time. But now that they're used to it, now that they've played in it for a long time, they've watched a ton of video on it. I think that they've gotten used to it, and now they're able to execute it at the level that Trent Cull was hoping that they could. And they're just getting lots of solid individual contributions too, whether it's, guys like Andersson and Ball, Backlund and Coleman, Farabee, Beecher's been half decent on the penalty kill. Like there's also been a lot of good performances too. So I think it's kind of a mix of those things.
You got Coleman and Farabee both with 3 shorthanded goals as well. So you like seeing that as well. So yeah, it's incredible to turn around that one aspect of the team can make, and it makes all the difference in the world. It made the game a lot easier for the Flames as well. So that penalty kill has been awesome. It's been fun to watch the diamond formation here.
One thing I was just going to add is I think it was before Thursday's game. Derek Wills had the stat that the Flames were actually +1 on the penalty kill, like over like the last month. Like they've scored more goals than they've given up on the penalty kill over a decent stretch of hockey. Like that's pretty amazing stuff.
That's coaching for you, right? I think that a lot of credit needs to go to Trent Cull and what he's done there. How many years have we spent saying how bad the Flames special teams are, right? And we're ragging on whatever coach is in charge of them at the time. But I think we need to praise Trent Cull a little bit for that job, because when you're trying to change a penalty kill over for something they've done for years and years and years in that small box to a diamond formation, it's a big change. It doesn't sound like much to the average fan or to the casual viewer, but if you dive into the mechanics of running that penalty kill, That's a lot of work. It's a lot more moving your feet. It's a lot more active sticks. And if you're a little bit out of position, you're going to get burned really easily. So it's a credit to the players, credit to Trent Cull for the awesome coaching job he's done there with the Flames. That's crazy. +1.
Yeah,
I'll take
pretty
that.
pretty remarkable.
I'll take that for sure. One thing that you talked about that you sent me when you sent me this lineup of things that you wanted to talk about, the one thing that jumped out to me the most was this next topic about consistent lines. This Flames team has finally found themselves 12 forwards, 6 defensemen, give or take a guy in and out of the lineup, and they've stuck with it. What do you make of why these lines are working here, Robert? And because I like it. I like it a lot. It seems to be like they spread out the scoring. They spread out the work. They have pretty even minutes across the top 9. Guys are in positions where it looks like they're successful now. They're slotted properly. What do you make of these consistent lines, and how big is that for you to have when the Flames are trying to be successful here?
Well, what I make of it is that Ryan Huska and the coaching staff needs to listen to the fan base more. The fans know what they're talking about. You and I were clamoring. We were clamoring for them to have consistent lines. Keep Connor Zary in one position. Keep Sharangovich in one position. Keep the lines the same. Quit moving him around. Put him in the blender every single night. They finally stuck to some lines and some pairings, and it's worked. I think it's been a big reason why they've been able to kind of turn things around here a little bit. I've liked the Kadri line. You take a look at their underlying numbers. They've been their best 5-on-5 line. The Backlund Coleman Zary line has been fantastic, especially in a shutdown role. I think Backlund and Coleman are both like +11 or +12 right now, leading the team since the Don Maloney comments. And then you got the Huberdeau Frost Coronado line, who's they put up a little bit of offense. They're kind of hit and miss every now and then, but they've been solid too. So yeah, it's basically been since they sent down Rory Cairns and Sam Honzek got hurt, that allowed them to put Sharangovich and Zary both back in the top 9. Both let them kind of prove that they're still NHL players. They can still, be impact makers at 5-on-5. And both players have improved. Probably not to the level that the Flames coaching staff had hoped, but I think they have gotten quite a bit better. Like they've essentially gone from getting literally nothing from Connor Zary and Yegor Sharangovich to now, Zary's got 8 points in his last 15. Sharangovich has 7. So like they're starting to kind of, pick up the pace a little bit, which is important. But yeah, I think it's just been critical for their success here to have some consistency in these lines. Because, you're a guy like Connor Zary. How the hell are you supposed to figure out your line mates when they're changing literally every single game and you're changing your position almost every single game? It just doesn't make sense. So good on the Flames coaching staff for finding some lines that work and sticking with them, because there are nights where sometimes it doesn't work, but credit to Ryan Huska, he's got the discipline to keep them together. So yeah, I think that's been a massive part of their success so far.
Yeah, gotta give Ryan a little credit here, because even in games where he's moved Klapka up a couple of times to use him, gone with guys who were actually going that night, but he always goes back at the start of the next game to those same 4 lines. And I'll give him credit as well. He's pretty much kept the defensive pairings the same since Brstavich has been in the lineup as well, keeping him with Hanley, Yuri Kuznetsov, and Ball Anderson. So it's good forward positions stuck together. It's guys that are working well together, slotted properly. You got 3 pairs that you can rely on in a lot of situations for Ryan Huska. And because he's been consistent with his lines, these guys have formed chemistry that we were clamoring for in October when the Flames were just stinky. And it's proven to be fruitful for the Flames, and it's nice to see them reward the coach for their faith in them. So it's kind of a you scratch my back, I'll scratch your back, little mentality here for the Flames. And so Ryan's really acknowledged that, and he's really tried consciously, I think, to put these guys together, and he's really thought about keeping them together, letting them really produce together as well. You still do need a little bit more out of certain guys, like you mentioned, Sharangovich and Farabee, maybe a little bit more. Definitely a little bit more out of Huberdeau, but you're consistently seeing high-end efforts from these guys, and the motor is going for this Flames team every single night, because these guys, they know their role. And when you know your role, you know your spot. Like you mentioned, there was Connor Zary. These guys know how to play, right? So you go out there and you just keep going along. And then you got your 3 defensive pairs that just, they know their role. And it's just easy for this team. And I think a lot of what we've seen over the last 15 or so games has been the Flames knowing their role, so the game's a lot easier for them to approach rather than, well, if I mess up here, I might be on the fourth line next period, or if I mess up here, I'm going to be out of the lineup the next game. These guys have a little bit of faith in themselves as well, and self-confidence. I can speak to that very, very vividly, because when you have your self-confidence, you perform much better at your job. And these guys are very confident in their own abilities, and now they're playing off of one another, and it's awesome to watch. Much funner to watch than whatever the heck October was, that's for sure.
Oh yeah, it's been night and day. Like I know, I'm on team. I'm on team make smart decisions. I don't know if I'm on team tank, but like I would like to see this team get a top 3 pick. But even though I want to see them get a top 3 pick, it is nice to see them being competitive, because it just would have been such a long season to cover this team when they've been really bad. So yeah, I totally agree with you there. The one group that I think does need to change is the fourth line. They've been getting absolutely smashed as a unit. Like when they're on the ice together at 5-on-5, the shot attempts are 83-60 for the opposition, scoring chances 45-24, high dangers 19-12. They've been outscored 4-0 as a unit. You take a look at like John Beecher's numbers. He's been outscored 8-1 since joining the team at 5-on-5. That group has really struggled. And one day I'd like to see Klapka get an opportunity to move up the lineup. There's just something about him that I think he actually plays better when he's with better players. And I think he plays better when he's in more of an offensive role. And I would like to see him get it one of these days. I don't know how they're going to do it. It might have to take an injury to a winger for that to happen. But one day I would like to see Klapka moved up the lineup a bit. And John Beecher needs to sit. Like put Justin Kirkland in, or recall Sam Morton, do something like that. Beecher has not been very good since coming here. So that's kind of my only complaint. Also, like I also find it kind of strange. You take a look at Uyghur and Kuznetsov's numbers. Like they're fine. Like the underlying numbers are fine, but it's Kuznetsov's been outscored 15-8. Uyghur's been outscored 15-9 when they're on the ice at 5-on-5 in the last 15 games. That's a duo you want to see be on for less goals against. You want to see them at least break even or even outscore their opposition, because Uyghur's good enough to do that. But they've just been having some bad luck, and things have been going their way, and hopefully that'll turn around soon.
To your fourth line point, we've talked about it before, and I'm on team. You need to rethink your fourth line. The fourth line, it's there, and at times they provide, like on the weekend against Vegas, they provided what they needed to provide. They were energy. Blomberg scores. You have the energy from that line, but it's just, for me, it's just so inconsistent that I really think the Flames need to rethink how they work that fourth line, who they have out there on that fourth line, and just approach it a different way. I don't know how you do it, whether it's recalls, whether it's trades, whether it's guys off waivers. I don't know what you do, but it needs to change, because it needs to be a little bit more consistent for me, because that top 9 is humming right now, right? That top 9 is producing. It looks good. They're skating. They're working hard. And the fourth line is like half the time the game kind of dies with that line. So
yeah,
I'm on team fix the fourth line. I don't know how you do it. And all due respect to guys like Lomberg, there's only so many vibe guys I can take for so long, to be honest. That's conversation for another day, though. Let's talk about something more positive. Let's try to keep this one a little bit more positive as we keep going here. Amongst all this success, we talk about goaltending, and we see Dustin Wolf numbers get better. Devin Cooley's been fine in his last few starts here, and his numbers look just good. Overall, though, this team defense in front of these two goaltenders has looked tremendous. A lot better than it did in October. A lot better than a lot of us pictured it could be at the end of the season. And they're rising up the ranks here of being a good defensive team. And it's not just those 6 defensemen either. It's the way the back check is playing. In October, you watched their transition game was absolutely horrendous. They got caught all the time, giving up good grade A chances against, and obviously that's not a recipe for success. But lately here, you've watched their back check be a lot better. Their gap control's a lot better. And this team defense as a whole here has really helped this Flames team propel themselves to be successful in these hockey games. What have you made of that change, Robert? And is there anything in particular that sticks out to you in it, or is it just a matter of these guys just started playing better?
Yeah, I think it's mainly the guys have just started to produce a little bit more. I take a look at Michael Backlund as a prime example. I thought he really struggled in the first month of the season, and since the beginning of November, I think he's been one of their best players. I think he's just been excellent. him and Blake Coleman are such an amazing duo, both at 5-on-5 and on the penalty kill. Like those guys are incredible defensive players. And talk about, taking the legs out from underneath this team. If you trade a Blake Coleman, like it's game over. This guy is so important to the team. And like you mentioned with the D pairs, the consistency I think has helped Uyghur to calm down a little bit. The third pair, whether it's Joel Hanley with Pahal or Joel Hanley with Hunter Brustevich, they've been excellent as a pairing, like really, really good. They're outscoring their opposition. Andersson and Ball take on the hard minutes. They're a legit shutdown pair. I mean, really, if Uyghur and Kuznetsov could get going and they could either break even at 5-on-5 or slightly outscore their opposition, it takes the Flames to another level. Like it almost takes them to a playoff team. If Mackenzie Weegar could just step up his game a little bit, that would make all the difference in the world for this team. But yeah, between team defense, the penalty kill, you take a look at faceoffs. They're 7th in the league in faceoffs since the Maloney comments. They're 5th in shots on goal in the NHL per game during that time. Like there's a lot of things to like about their game. A few other things I will point out is just I do think they're starting to get some bounces. I do think puck luck does play a role in hockey. And in the first month of the season, they were getting nothing going their way. Now they are. Like you take a look at the Vegas game and the Seattle game as well. Like the one goal where Rasmus Andersson just throws it on net and it happens to go off Michael Backlund and in. Earlier in the year, that doesn't happen. Joel Farabee scoring that beautiful shorthanded goal against Vegas. He finds a way to either miss the net or hit the post early in the season, but now that's going in. Ryan Lomberg, he's had a bunch of shots coming down the wing and a couple breakaways. They're finally starting to go in for him. They weren't at the beginning of the season. It's like little things like that are starting to snowball, and it's really helping them win some games here recently. So yeah, there's a lot going right with this team right now.
It was as simple as if I asked you why this Flames team was being more successful, you could just say they're scoring more, John. And I would just say, well, yeah, fair point on you, but it really has been a big change in their offense. They are scoring way more than they were in October and early November. They're scoring regularly. You're seeing them score 4 or 5 goals a night. They got 6 on the weekend. What do you make of this goal scoring outburst from the Flames? I can't explain why. Maybe it is just the puck luck that you were talking about there, Robert, where they're getting these bounces going in. They're getting goals from the point. They're getting goals from all sorts of situations, power play aside for the most part, let's be honest. But more goals is more successful. It's pretty easy to say.
They're tied for 13th in the NHL in goals since
crazy.
In their last 15 games, which is very impressive. Even during a hot streak for this team, that's super impressive. I always thought that if this team could get in like the low 20s or high teens, that they would be putting themselves in a really good position to make the playoffs. And they've done just that recently. And I would attribute it to, one, you got the consistent lines, and they're finally building chemistry. 2, you're getting the great production from the top of your lineup in Kadri and Andersson. And 3, it's the bounces. I think those 3 things combined have led to this team starting to score some more goals and play a little bit more fun hockey here for the fans to watch. So, and I'd probably put the bounces at number 1. It's just hockey's a weird game, and with the amount of shots that the Flames put on net, they're bound to get bounces to go their way. Whether it's a puck going off Adam Klapka's leg before bowling over the Seattle goaltender or Vegas goaltender, I forget which game that was. Like stuff like that. That kind of stuff is happening now, and it wasn't at the beginning of the season. So that might seem like very basic analysis, but I do believe that is playing a big role in this team scoring more goals. What about you? Like, are you seeing anything different from them compared to October?
Sometimes the Captain Obvious answer's the answer, right? It's just they're just getting bounces. I think I like your point about the bounces there. I think that's a big part of it, and I'm a big component of these consistent lines and consistent pairings that they have are just going to be more conducive to being productive. The guys are just going to be more comfortable playing with one another. Like we all talk about how good Backlund and Coleman have been together, and they've been that way for 4 years because they're just that good together. So when you get other guys that have that chemistry together, you're going to be able to produce more. Just how it goes, in my opinion. And just it's nice to see that these guys are sticking with it as well. They're not getting frustrated, and it's not one and done chances anymore. Lots of crashing the net, lots of going to the net. Clap gets that goal you mentioned there just by a simple play of going to the net. So I think they've simplified the game. I think consistent pairings, and they're getting some bounces, and all of that's going to lead to a little bit more success. And that's what I don't think there's been any system changes by Ryan Huska. I think he still has to play that defensive focus system based on the personnel he has at his disposal. But they've found a way to use that to their benefit with a good transition game, a better transition game. They're able to counterattack quicker. There's less turnovers in the neutral zone by this roster. And altogether, all in all, when you have everyone pulling the wagon in the right direction, you're going to be successful. And I mentioned that earlier. So it's really Captain Obvious stuff here, but it's what it is. And when it's that simple to analyze, it makes for fun for hockey to be watched by this team. Like, I much rather watch what we've seen the last 15, 16 games in that first dozen or so games for sure.
Like the prime example of it are the 2 Michael Backlund goals from the Vegas game.
Yeah,
where he, like you said, he crashes the net. He goes super hard to the net, and there's a rebound that just happens to end up on his stick. And earlier in the season, either he puts that right in the pads, or he misses the net, or he hits the post. It doesn't go in. But right now, things are going well for the Flames, and he's able to put those home. Like, I think those are like prime examples of what we're talking about right now.
And whether you're on Team Tank or you're on Team Playoffs or you're on Team Smart Decision or Team Logic, it's
a lot of teams.
A lot of teams here. It comes down to you want to watch this team be competitive in the games, right? You want to watch competitive hockey. Results be damned. Like, let's put the results aside. I think everyone is happy watching a team that competes hard, that has chances, that is able to defend well, and can play a good, exciting brand of hockey. Nobody wants to have a slog of a season to the end, even if you are on Team Tank. Nobody wants to see this team, lose games 5-1, because that's no fun either. You want to see this team be competitive in these games. And if they go out there and they show these efforts, like that game against Vegas, if they lost that game 4-3, we're going to be disappointed in the result, but we're going to be happy in the effort, because the effort was there, and that's what you want when you're a hockey fan. So no matter what team you're on, you've got to like this last 15 games for the sake of just simply watching what the Flames have put on paper for sure.
Yeah, 100%. Couldn't agree more.
The Flames are getting, and this is a topic that I really am excited to talk to you about, Robert, is I've really praised a lot of these young defensemen on my Twitter account and chatting with other fans, talking about guys like Bristevich and Kuznetsov. And I know you mentioned Kuznetsov struggled a little bit 5-on-5, but to the eye test, he's been really, really good. What do you make of his youth movement on the blue line? How excited are you to see these guys? And then down the line, we got Perek still to come into this lineup and join the Flames here. What are your thoughts here on this youth movement on the blue line?
Well, we've been asking for it, and we finally got it, and it looks great. Like you said, the eye test for Kuznetsov has been fantastic. I give him rave reviews. I like how big he is. He's very mobile. He makes quick decisions. He doesn't keep the puck on his stick for very long. In the offensive zone, he makes a lot of smart passes and gets pucks to the net, which I really respect about his game. And I know he's kind of a defensive defenseman, but to add a little bit of offense in there too is great. And man, I said it on Afterburner the other day, and I made a tweet with like some clips from Hunter Bristevich. I've just been so impressed with this guy. He looks so comfortable in the NHL. Very rarely do you see a guy who's played 5 or 6 NHL games and looks as comfortable as Hunter Bristevich does with the puck on his stick. Like, he is just so calm, cool, collected out there. He doesn't make a lot of mistakes. Like, I basically watched every one of his shifts from his first 3 games this season the other day when I was putting together that video. And there was only one time where I thought to myself, like, ooh, that wasn't a great decision. And it was against LA, and he got kind of hemmed in. But, it's going to happen. Aside from that, the guy's been outstanding. And I don't know about you, but like, I don't think he's coming out of the lineup. No. I'd be stunned. So yeah, it's been great to see. And then with Perek, hopefully he can turn things around at the World Juniors. And I don't know, like, what do you think they should do with this guy? Like, where are you at on Perek right now? Like based on what you've seen this season and the injury and the World Juniors, has your opinion kind of changed on him?
It has. I'm still high on what he will become. I'm still high on what he provides long term for the Flames. So for me, he's still a high end prospect, top prospect. But I'm kind of in the. I'm gonna get some hate for this. I'm kind of in the camp that maybe he should go back to junior after the World Junior Championships. Maybe he should go back to the OHL, and not for the regular season portion of the AHL, because people are going to say, well, that does him no good. But being in the NHL and being behind Hunter Brzustevich now, being behind Kuznetsov, being behind all these other guys, and sitting in the press box does him no good either. So I think I'm at the point where this guy needs to play games now, and maybe that best place for him to get games is the OHL. Get him on a team that's in the playoff hunt for a long run. Let him play some playoff games there. And then maybe you get him on an amateur tryout at the end of the year and put him in the American Hockey League, something like that. I don't know how all that would work out at the end of the day, but I'm very high on the player still. I just wonder if the NHL is just not quite where he should be quite yet. We saw him get run over quite a few times. So physically, maybe that's just not where his body's at right now. And that's no shame in that either, right? He's 19 years old. Like, let's give this kid a bit of a break here. So I think that's where I'm at with Zayne. What about yourself?
Yeah, it's hard because what you've seen from him has not been impressive this year. It does look like he's a little out of his element, and that's fine. He's 19 years old. He has lots of time to develop. I almost wonder, like, when he's done at the World Juniors, maybe they do the AHL conditioning stint and get him to play a couple weeks, and then it might kind of come down to when Rasmus Andersson's traded, because if Andersson's on this team up until March 6th, like if he's on it till the deadline or the week of the deadline, then where are you going to put Parekh for all that time? And then you have the Olympic break mixed in there where there's going to be another 3 weeks where he's not playing. I'm kind of with you. I'm starting to lean more where he should just go back to junior, get stronger, play a ton of minutes. Don't get jerked around like he has been with the Flames this season, and just get his confidence back. Like, I'm really hoping he can get his confidence back at the juniors. My big thing with Parekh is this kid has the potential to be a special hockey player if he wants to be. So my prediction with him is if he can figure out the intensity and if he can up the competitiveness and just that kind of like internal drive and not be so lackadaisical and casual out there, he will be a special hockey player. He will be, I think, a 60 to 80 point defenseman and probably on a top pair. I really think he could be that good. I am concerned about how casual he is. Even watching the World Juniors, the pre-tournament games, he's not like he's not making like very quick decisions. Pucks are like going over his stick or going through his legs on the power play, and it's leading to breakaways the other way. When he goes back for a puck, it's very kind of casual and slow almost. It's like if he just upped the intensity level and like I said, kind of got a little bit more competitive, the sky is the limit for this kid. So that's kind of a long way of just saying, I think I'm with you. Like maybe a 2-week stint in the AHL after the World Juniors makes sense. Play 5 or 6 games, however many they can get him into, and then send him back to junior. Because then, like, one more thing I'll just point out. Sorry, I'm talking so much.
No, go ahead.
If you take a look at the Flames schedule from the trade deadline to the end of the season, it's a nightmare. Like it's a gauntlet. It's crazy how difficult it is, and I don't know if you want to throw Parekh into those situations against these incredible teams when they're ramping up for the playoffs. I think it might be smart just to tell him, go back to Saginaw, get in the gym, get stronger, play more minutes, get your confidence back, come back to Calgary next year, and either play in the AHL or the NHL, whatever it's going to end up being. But yeah, I'm starting to kind of like you. I'm starting to lean towards maybe he should go back to junior.
I can hear the comments now, Robert. Oh, he's too good for that league. Oh, what is it going to do for his confidence? Well, you want to know what? If you were too good for that league, you wouldn't need to go back to that league and play games. If you were too good to be where you are supposed to not be, then you would have been at the next level. And the fact of the matter is, with, like you mentioned there, his lackadaisical play at times and not being physically ready to be in the National Hockey League, maybe the OHL is the spot for him. And as far as his confidence goes, that's on him to try to work through, right? So whether that's in the American Hockey League, whether that's at the World Juniors, whether that's in the OHL, wherever it may be, that's on him to work through and to try to really push himself through that kind of a thing. Because it's a mental game as much as it is a physical game. People talk about that all the time, and this might be the time where he's going to get challenged mentally, and we'll see how strong mentally he is, because this guy has potential, like you mentioned there. Top fair defenseman, logging all the minutes, all the power play minutes, getting all the points. And in order for him to get there, he's going to have to go through some growing pains. And this is, in my opinion, this is all part of it. So maybe sending him back to junior, getting Saginaw to put him somewhere where they can play some deep playoff run in the Ontario Hockey League is best for this kid, because you don't want to stunt his growth. At the same time, you need him to play games as well. So it's kind of a hard place to be. The worst thing he did was sign that entry-level contract so quick, but we didn't know the rules were going to change either, because, man, college would be a really good spot for him right about now.
Oh, college or the AHL would be way more ideal than the situations he's in right now. My other thing with him is that he needs to have a healthy offseason.
Yes.
This is 2 years in a row where his offseason has been hampered by injuries. He needs to have a full offseason where he's 100% healthy. He's able to train for 5 months and get way stronger and get to that kind of NHL level strength. And like I said, he's 19 years old. He has lots of time to figure this out. But like for right here, right now, I do think going back to junior, finishing off the year, like you said, maybe he gets traded to a team that has a shot to go to the Mem Cup. Like something like that, I think would really benefit him, and staying healthy in the offseason is also key for him. Once again, sky's the limit for this kid. I'm a fan. The skills are unbelievable. The skating is unbelievable. I really think it's just all gonna be what happens between the years for him, in whether he becomes a point per game number one defenseman or he's become Shane Gostisbehere. Like I think he's going to be an NHL player, no doubt. It just depends, at what level, because the range of outcomes for this guy, I think, is massive. I think it could, like I said, I think it'd be number one 80-point defenseman, or I think it could be kind of a power play specialist, Shane Gostisbehere kind of guy, if he doesn't figure it out mentally.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens, because it's a lot on the plate for this kid, because there's a lot of high hopes as well. Like the praise that he got at the beginning of this season from Flame fans in this past offseason, people thought this guy's Cale Makar 2.0. So we'll see how he can perform here.
Well, and like one final thing, sorry.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
Because the Flames refuse to bottom out, they have to hit on their first round picks. They got Zayne Parekh at 9. He has to work out for this team if they want to get to where they want to go. Sam Honzek, he looks like he's going to be probably a third line winger, a good defensive winger. That hasn't worked out the way they had hoped. Then you get Reshny at 18 and Potter at 32. Like these guys, they have to work, because you're not getting those top end players at the top of the draft. They need to find home runs in kind of the later picks here. And once again, it's part of the reason why Flames fans are so upset at this team over their directions, because if you pick in the top 3, you're almost guaranteed to get a very good player, if not an elite player. Yes. It's so difficult to find those guys outside the top 10. So it just puts more emphasis on the scouting staff that they have to make the right decisions here. These are critical for the long-term future of the Calgary Flames, because if a guy like Parekh doesn't work out, and Honzek doesn't work out, and say Potter doesn't work, and maybe Reshny's only a second line center, it's like, where are you going to find this elite talent, right? Yeah,
that's a good point. Yeah, player development too got a big role in that as well, right? So you got to draft the right guy, and you got to develop them so you get the most out of these guys. That's a really good point by you, Robert. Hard. It's sad to think of where the Flames would be if all those things happen, though. If there's no Parekh and no Reshny's not good, and that's not a good picture. We'll save that picture for another podcast.
Yeah.
Let's have some fun to end off this podcast, Robert. You and I tried to do this last week when we got on this big rant, and we railed against Murray Edwards last episode. So if you didn't listen to us on our rants last week, go listen to that podcast. Really good show. Got a lot of good feedback on that one. Let's make some predictions. Prediction games are always fun to do, because you can go any which way with anything. So predictions here, Robert, for the rest of the season, things that we think could be very much in the cards for the Flames between now and the end of the season, whether that's they go on this big run and become the President's Trophy winners, or they bottom out and become the lottery big thing. Where are you going first, Robert, with prediction number 1?
Okay, I'll start with just kind of like my overall picture for what I see happening between now and the end of the season. So my prediction is between now and the trade deadline, this team they won't play at a 10-4-1 pace, but I think they'll be above 500, and I think they'll slowly continue to climb their way closer and closer to a wild card spot. And by the time the trade deadline rolls around, I think they'll be 1, 2, 3 points out of a wild card spot. After the deadline, when Rasmus Andersson is gone and maybe there's another trade, things are going to fall off a cliff. So my one message to Flames fans who are worried about ending up in the mushy middle again is be patient, because I really do think this team is going to be terrible after the trade deadline. And their schedule is insane. They're going to lose their best player in Rasmus Andersson. They might lose another veteran or two, depending on how aggressive they want to be. Between the deadline and the end of the year, they might be the worst team in the NHL. And because the standings are so tight, they could easily fall and get back into the first overall pick conversation. So that's kind of my first prediction. Up until the deadline, they're going to be very competitive. They'll be in the mix for a playoff spot. Post deadline to the end of the season, it's going to fall off a cliff, and they'll be right back in the mix for the lottery.
Okay, I'll be patient, Robert, because I'm right there. That's me. That's me to a T. I'm already looking at who's going to be available at 11, 12, maybe 13th overall.
A lot of fans are. I don't blame them with the way they're playing, but would you agree that post trade deadline, post Rasmus Andersson, that things could get ugly?
Yeah, absolutely. I absolutely do. And I really hope that it's post Rasmus Andersson, and no offense, post Blake Coleman as well at that time.
Yeah.
Because that'll really fall off. I love Blake Coleman. Don't trade Blake Coleman. But at the same time, trade Blake Coleman. My big prediction, my first prediction goes kind of along the lines of the trade. People are always talking about trading Coleman like I just did, or Nazem Kadri. I think there's going to be a sneaky trade that we're not thinking of come down the line. I think there's going to be a team that comes along here and is looking for a little bit more scoring help on the wing. I think a Farabee or a Sharon Govich trade, it might be in the cards for the Flames down the road here, given the gluttony of wingers that they have currently on the NHL roster and in the pipelines. They have a lot of left shot wingers at that. So I think it's very easy to see them take one of those off their roster. I think Joe Farabee is a very good trade candidate given what he's done this year. I know there's some money on his contract left. That's cut that in half, retain for a few years, and you're not worried about your cap right now. And trade him to a team. I could see a team like maybe a Tampa Bay Lightning or Colorado Avalanche looking for that extra bit of scoring. So that's my prediction here, is we see a winger we're not talking about get traded by the trade deadline here.
I like it. I'll do my second prediction. I'll go down the trade route as well. I'll say that there are no Blake Coleman or Nazem Kadri trades this season.
I hate you.
So does every other Flames fan listening to this right now. I just don't. I hope I'm wrong, because they should cash in on these guys while their value is so high. I just have this gut feeling that this whole, we need veterans in the room, we need to remain as competitive as possible. Like, I really think Murray Edwards might say to himself, like, we need these guys, and Don Maloney's going to push to keep those guys. And I just don't see them do this. We've talked about it last episode. This team is not proactive. They are not forward thinking. They generally refuse to trade players who have more than 1 year left on their contract. And I feel like a Kadri or Coleman trade is either a 2026 offseason move, or it's a 2027 trade deadline move. I don't see them moving those players right now. And once again, I hope I'm wrong.
Yeah, I could definitely see Kadri being a draft type of trade, draft day trade. Second prediction for me is, I think this Flames team, we've seen them turn around their offensive woes. They're producing a lot higher. I think we're going to see 3 Flames hit that 20 goal mark. Matt Coronado's at 11, so he's over halfway there. Blake Coleman's at 10. He might get there. And there's some sneaky good candidates still in the mix to get to 20 goals this year if they continue on the pace they're going at. Kadri has 8. Frost has 8. Sharon Govich has 6. He needs to pick it up a little bit more. Farabee has 9, and Backlund has 9. So there's some candidates there that might get to 20 here. So I think we're going to see 3 or more Flames get to 20 goals this year.
You know what? Like I was thinking, I'm like, is that like not realistic? But that just shows like the state of the team.
Right?
Like when you have to question if 3 guys are going to hit 20 goals this season, that's not ideal. It's honestly kind of a miracle they've been playing as well as they have, but considering the lack of talent on this team.
Well, you see Coronado's 11 goals, and you're like, but he was terrible in October. Where do these goals come from? And that's what we're working off of, right? Other teams have like 7 people already at like 20 goals, but it feels like the Flames just trucking along here. But I think we're going to see this offense, like you mentioned, to the trade deadline here. These guys are going to be playing some good hockey, I think, and I think we're going to get some guys score. Coronado needs to keep shooting that puck, and he'll get there quite easily. Do you have a third prediction here first, Robert?
Yeah, I'll do like a specific player one.
Love it.
So coming into the season, I was not very high on Connor Zary. And basically for what exactly happened, I said that I was worried about the skating. The skating up until like the last few games has not been where it needs to be. Mm-hmm. And I was worried that he didn't have a role on the team, and he didn't up until they sent Rory Cairns down in the middle of November. But I'm starting to see some signs of him turning it around. So my third prediction here is that Connor Zary will be a 0.5 point per game player between now and the end of the season. I've liked the progression from his game. I think his skating has looked better. He looks way more confident over the last 2-3 weeks here. We're starting to see some of that Connor Zary swag come back, the stick handling, the dangles, the offense. We're starting to see the kind of the old Zary come back, and I think he's a nice fit on the line with Coleman and Backlund right now. And, you know, at some point there might be injuries where he moves up the lineup. You know, maybe there's trades like a Farabee or someone along the lines of that. Maybe he can move up again there. I think he's really going to start to play closer to the Connor Zary that we expect him to be between now and the end of the season.
Yeah, I like that one a lot, especially with Backlund and Coleman, the way he's been playing lately. That's a nice little goal for him as well. I like that one quite a lot. I, too, have a player-specific one. I think Hunter Brzustewicz is the real deal. I think that he is really produced when he's come up here. You've seen him composed. They talked about him wanting to play with a lot of pace. I think you've seen him respond to that comment from the head coaches. So I think outside of maybe the Olympic break, when there are times that he needs to go back and play some games, I think Hunter Brzustewicz is in the NHL to stay. I think he has really set himself up to be successful. I think he's put himself clearly in the good graces of Ryan Huska and the coaching staff, and he's played some incredible hockey since he's been up here alongside Joe Hanley. I think he's a perfect partner for him. So for me, Hunter Brzustewicz, real deal. I think he stays with the Flames outside of maybe the Olympic break.
Yeah, I'm in full agreement on that. He should absolutely stay for the rest of the season, and I like the idea of him going back to the American League during the Olympic break, just so he gets games. But yeah, he's been excellent. He's
cracking Team USA. Come on.
Yeah. Well, maybe one day. You never know. Hey, if Noah Hannafin can make that team, then why can't Hunter Brzustewicz?
Yeah, maybe. I like him a lot. He's come up here, and I think you don't often see a young, early 20s defenseman be so composed with the puck. And we've seen a lot of composure from him and a lot of poise with the puck. And I really like his decision making outside maybe that Los Angeles game, like you mentioned earlier in the podcast, where you saw maybe a 1 or 2 instances. But he's really learned really quickly that, hey, I got to make a decision, stick with that decision, and make it quickly. And he's done exactly that. So really, really high on the kid, and I hope that he sticks around for a long, long time, because he makes trading Elias Lindholm really, really worth it.
Oh yeah, that deal is looking fantastic.
Heist. It looks like a heist at the moment. Let's be honest. Anything else you want to bring up about the podcast here, Robert, as we get close to this hour mark already? This one flew by. Anything else you want to bring up about the podcast this week, or what's coming up from you on flamesnation.ca?
Yeah, I just got a column coming out tomorrow at flamesnation.ca and kind of talk a little bit about Rasmus Andersson, the success of the team recently, and some other little quick hitters. And be sure to check that out. That's pretty much it.
Merry Christmas to all of the listeners of the Red Mile Rundown. We appreciate you all for sticking with us through these episodes and listening to us. I'm not sure we're going to have an episode next week. I haven't talked to Robert about that for the Christmas break. If we don't talk to you, also Happy New Year then as well. Make sure you check out Robert at Ring of Fire CGY. I'm Vintage Johnny 84 across social media, and of course, the Red Mile Rundown, wherever you get your podcasts or content. Thank you so much for making us part of your rotation. Enjoy the Flames and Oilers back-to-back over Christmas as well. This should be some exciting hockey, and we'll chat to you on the other side. Enjoy Christmas with your friends as well and family, and all the best to you in the holiday season.